Call the Social Services Committee meeting to order.
You didn't need me here.
What do you want? What do you want?
See that thing with all the tabs on it?
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
We have a motion to approve the minutes of the prior committee meeting. Supervisor Frazier, seconded by Supervisor Faber. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. With that, I'll turn it over to Maureen.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're going to go over the action agenda, request resolution to amend the table of organization to reclassify the position of Senior Social Services Investigator number 1, grade 13, to Supervising Social Service Investigator, grade 15. More supervisory duties are the rationale and increased responsibilities and knowledge required.
Okay, do we have a motion? We have a motion by Supervisor Wood, seconded by Supervisor Van Ansel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, just a note, as I understand it, the Supervising Social Services Investigator is a new classification. And I also understand that the Senior Social Services Investigator was a union position, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's true, we would be required to negotiate the salary grade for the new position with the union. When I say negotiate, typically these don't take very long, sometimes just a phone call, but we just can't arbitrarily set the salary, we do have to reach an agreement with the union on it. So I guess the only thing I would ask is if your motion can be qualified on, getting the union's agreement.
Okay. Okay. It's okay with the people who made the motion?
I guess so.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Request permission to purchase up to 3 radios for social services fleet vehicles to enhance safety for social services department personnel conducting home visits. And we want to support the safety of the department staff making home visits. So these are the same radios that people just put into probation cars. So when they're up north and there's no cell reception, this radio will take care of it. It has a component.
Is that a motion? Yeah. Second? Supervisor Wood? Any discussion? Do they currently have radios now, some of them?
No.
Okay.
Some of them use their own cell phone, but we don't like to do that because if we need to go to court, somebody could take their cell phone for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And cell phones aren't reliable sometimes, and actually even down here sometimes, if you're not in the right area, you don't get reception. And safety can be a thing that comes up very quickly, and we don't even anticipate that.
One thing I thought about, my wife works for a company that uses these pendants that, like a panic button. I wonder if there's something that some of our people, it'd be something they could have while they're in these home visits that could, if they got into a situation, they could automatically notify somebody.
Those radios do have that. They have a
Oh,
handheld device that they can take inside.
Oh, they do? Okay.
And there's a button that sends transmission to the radio in the car, which sends it down to the station.
Okay, good.
The radios can't be expensive, right?
How did you look at the price?
No.
$5,083.
Oh, wow.
They're
not that expensive. Oh, I didn't get that far.
I
couldn't because my copy got... Well, do they have coverage up there with the radios? I mean, I know we've had spotty coverage.
Most of the area, I believe, is covered, and we were going to pick up some more cell phones because they told me that sometimes what isn't covered by the radio is covered by the cell phone, that it's kind of a quirky system. And because I talked to Brian LaFleur, because he gave me information about this, and that's what he told me. So we're just trying to do our best, and I wish there was a cheaper way to do it, but it doesn't seem possible right now.
Okay, thank you.
I know sometimes, a lot of your, whether it be equipment, salaries, whatever, is
Yeah.
covered by some state aid. Is this an example where part of it will be covered by the state?
It'll be reimbursed by
75%, okay. Thank you.
I have one question, one more. Would these radios be compatible with our new radio system that we're,
These radios are supposed to be on the system that, not exactly the police system, but for the other kind of emergency, like the highway department, when they call in, we'll be on that band, but they'll know right away because I think they told me it flashes that there's like an emergency different from DPW.
okay.
Do these get mounted permanently in the car, or are they mobile?
There's two pieces. One piece there's a repeater in the car, and that's permanently, well, when we say permanently mounted, I mean, you can't take it in and out, but you can, if you get rid of the car, you can take it out, you know what I'm saying? But it is a permanent mount in the car, and then they also get a portable handheld unit.
That they can,
Right.
like
Yes.
the police
And
do?
then the handheld unit, the idea is that normally handheld units have very limited power, but it goes to the car's repeater, and that's what strengthens the signal and gets it out. You know, none of these systems are perfect, as you all know. There's been a lot of talk about upgrading our radio system in the county, and it refers to the towers and the spottiness. The thought is, though, and I think it was the same thought when probation did their cars, is, as Maureen mentioned, it's just trying to it's not a guarantee that they're going to have communication, but it's increasing the likelihood that there will be communication. If the cell phone fails, they'll have the radio. If they're in a bad situation with the radio, hopefully they'll have a cell phone. When we met, we also talked about cell phone companies and which companies have the best coverage in the areas that these folks will be traveling in, and to make sure that, you know, we enhance that opportunity. As Maureen mentioned, you know, it's just that these folks, these caseworkers, are walking into environments. If they know could be some problems, they can always have a sheriff accompany them, but many times they could walk into a situation and then become aware of a problem. And so we're trying to increase, like I say, as much availability of communications as we can, knowing that the system's not perfect.
So, I take it we've tried one up there and it does work for the most part up there, and we're not buying something that we get up there and we find out, this is worthless too.
This is the same stuff that the sheriff's cars are using.
All right, so it has some
Right.
experience, and they say that for the most part up there, it does get coverage?
Yes, in fact, the sheriff is putting repeaters in his cars for the same reason, to enhance that coverage.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay, request number 3 is request permission for Lisa Schmidt to attend the Child Protective Service Response Training in Albany, New York from October 5th through the 9th and October 26th through the 29th, 2015. This is a mandatory training.
I'd like to move 3 and 4.
Okay. So a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
We're a great team.
I just want to make an announcement that this past June, we had 3 foster children graduate from high school, and that's quite a remarkable thing, and we're very, very proud of them. And so I just wanted to share with lots of times we don't have children still with us when they're in their senior year. This year we had 3 young men, and they did a good job to get themselves through the things they needed to get their diplomas. So,
Okay.
you go.
My turn. The first item that I have is permission to renew our countywide contract with Adirondack Technical Services for repairs to the refrigeration units and ice machines and other like equipment. This would be $105 an hour for normal business hours and $157.50 for overtime hours. And again, this would be a countywide agreement.
So have a motion to bring this to the floor? Supervisor Frazier? Supervisor Wooden?
Wondering, is this the same rate as it was last year, has it gone up?
No, it did go up. Julie Pacina, Butler, sorry, is actually the one that put out the request, because it's not something that we typically do in our department. She did indicate that it was an increase, but it was underneath the, industry standard of 15%.
So a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The second item I have, we would also like to reclassify 2 of our current positions at Countryside Adult Home. These are the charge aide positions. Upon reviewing the current job description that we had, it didn't accurately reflect what these 2 individuals were doing, under that title. It is something that Trish is still reviewing one piece of it, so she suggested that we could either move forward with the request to do the reclassification pending her final, review, or we could, put it on hold until the next committee meeting.
I just wanted to clarify, the distinction here is what happens with reclassifications. This position we brought, as a potential reallocation, and part of the reallocation review is we do a job classification survey. In this case, it's a reclassification of the position. There's additional duties, there's permanent, and substantial changes, to this, to both these positions. In the process of reclassification, we need to finalize job description and title, so we also need to go through a process of getting confirmation. We give notice to those who will be affected by it. So that process is we're still going through that process. We completed the process for, the senior, investigator position, the supervising investigator position, and that's the distinction here.
Go ahead, Rachel.
I guess I'm just wondering what your recommendation is, if it's to wait or to approve now? I would say we could bring it back next month unless it affects some other, function. But if you want to approve it subject to, I know it has to go through the remainder of the committee cycle. We can, if we find there's an issue and there's a question as to, we have to provide, as I said, we have to provide notice. My understanding is the people in these positions are, on board about it, but we need to go through that whole process. So if we can do, I would anticipate we can have it done, but I don't know. So if Dee and Maureen want to postpone it, we can come back next month with the final.
Mr. Chairman, I think under this particular case here, you don't have, ultimately, you have to have a board resolution that sets the title and sets the pay. And right now, you don't have either of those things. So even if the committee wanted to move it ahead, then the problem's gonna become, at some point, we still need that information. So my thought is, and then here again, depending upon what the title is, if it's not in the union contract that they come up with, then that has to be negotiated with the union. So sounds like there's enough things to be done to really put this over for the month and have all these pieces tied down, so then the committee would actually know exactly, you know, what is being proposed, what the salaries will be, everything.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Okay.
And the last thing I had was just our overtime report. We are up 23 hours overall, and this is because we did have to provide, one-on-one for one of our residents for a short period of time for safety measures.
Okay. So we'll move on to Julie, your report.
I'm adjusted.
On the overtime report, social services, we're down approximately 300 hours from the first 6 months of last year. So we're really trying to keep that in check, and so far it's been going great. Our expenses for the first 6 months of the year were under 50%. So hopefully we can keep holding on to that. And our revenue is starting to pick up, which it normally does in the second half of the year. I would expect that too. So all in all, I think we're in pretty good shape.
anything the committee would like to bring up at this point? There being none, motion to adjourn? Oh, motion.